Hey guys, welcome back. Jeb Smith. So in today's video, we're going to talk about home prices in more detail. I get a lot of viewers reaching out to me, asking me what I think home prices are going to do over the next 6 months to a year. Should I wait? Should I buy now? So we're going to take a look at home prices. We're going to talk about home price forecasts. We're also going to look at the Corelogic home price index, as well as their insight report that they put out monthly, and this goes from April of last year to April of this year. We're going to talk about what home prices did as far as appreciation goes and what they expect, what their forecasts are over the next year. So I'm also going to give you my take as a real estate agent with boots on the ground, where I see home prices going over this time as well. And we can talk about markets, right? What markets did the best over the last year? Which gained the most appreciation? Why, if you're in one of those markets, you're likely having a tougher time than those in some other markets. And we're also going to take a look at what markets may get hit the hardest over the next year if home prices do decline, with interest rates rising and what have you. But before we do that, I want to take a minute and ask a favor. If you're new to me, new to my channel, it's all about real estate, helping guide you through that process. So do me a favor and hit that like button if you find value in this content. So let's take a minute and pull up that report. As we're going through it, I've highlighted the information. I'll put a link below if you'd like to pull the full report yourself and read through it. But as we're going through it, not only am I going to look at the highlighted information, I'm going to give you my take on what that actually means in layman's terms to help you understand, the real estate market in more detail, and really what's going on right now, what's kind of driving this appreciation, as well as, the demand that we're seeing in the housing market right now. So let's take a minute and pull up this report. All right. So from April of last year to April of this year, that's what we're looking at. But remember, April of last year was probably the worst month of the year with regards to home sales, with regards to home values, just because the pandemic had just hit, and people didn't really know what the future held, right? Those that had their homes on the market. I actually had a client that was ready. She was Italian, and her family, was in Italy, and they were getting hit the hardest over there. And she was really panicking with the housing market over here. So she actually let a property go for much less than she should have, just because of what was happening during those times and her feelings on the market and so on and so forth. And so April of last year was a low month in the year. So when you compare it to April of this year, you're going to see gains that are larger in many ways than they should have been, because you're comparing really low data to really high data right now. And as we move through the rest of the year, as we get closer to the end of the year, the real numbers are going to come out, because that's when the market started to normalize a little bit more. But May, the numbers should improve a little bit, June and July, so on and so forth. And what I mean by improve is you're not going to see these huge jumps in year over year data as you do in this report. But that's enough of that. Let's take a minute here and pull it up. So home prices nationwide, including distress sales, increased year over year by 13% in April of 2021 compared with April of last year, and month over month 2.1% in April of this year versus March of this year. So the 2.1% is a little more realistic, because that goes from this year in March to April of this year. But as you can see from the report here, month over month, or year over year rather, 13% increase nationwide. Those are big numbers, and I expect that year over year appreciation to decline, as I mentioned, as we get more normal numbers once we drop off these first few months of when the pandemic actually hit. So the Corelogic Home Price Index, that's HPI, that's what that stands for, indicates that home prices will increase on a month-over-month basis by 1.1% from April to May. So next month's report, they're expecting a 1.1% increase, and a year-over-year basis by 2.8% from April of this year to April of next year. Now, I personally think that number is going to be higher than 2.8% annual appreciation from this year to next year. But now remember, this is a nationwide report. This isn't local to my market, because in my market in Southern California, those numbers are going to be significantly higher. But even with that being said, I think those numbers are probably going to be higher than the 2.8% that they're predicting. Now, this is the index and the forecast from Case-Shiller. As you can see here at the end, this is really what you should pay attention to, because their forecast is for home prices declining. Now, this 0 is the baseline, right? Anything above it is appreciation. Anything below it is depreciation. The value is going down. So even over the next couple of months, they're still showing that you're going to have appreciation in the market, right? That you're not dropping below that 0%, but it's not at the heights that we're seeing right now, not that 13, 15% level that we're seeing right now. What drove the market? Who drove the market? Younger millennials, obviously, we've talked about that, becoming prime buying age. They're now entering the market. They're one of the key drivers as to why homes are appreciating like they are. They're just, it's a big pool of home buyers, the largest to ever enter the housing market at one time, becoming prime buying age. And with that, you've got the work from home, you've got all of these factors playing into it, and that's really, added to that demand that was already there with low interest rates and so on and so forth. So what it says here is younger millennials continue to enter the market in droves, while older millennials look to upgrade and upsize their homes. So I'm in the older millennial generation, born in 1980. Yeah, I'm in that phase where I'm looking to move up. I got a family now, 3 kids. I need a bigger house. So constantly looking for that type of property. Then you have the younger millennials coming in and buying those entry-level homes. And at the same time, you have those baby boomers, right? Those baby boomers that were supposed to all be selling their homes at one time, which was going to add all of this inventory. What's happening with them? Well, we're going to talk about it here in just a second. So the increased competition among buyers may cause a ripple effect and create affordability challenges for baby boomers interested in downsizing or relocating. Notably, 72% of this cohort lists the desire for a new location as the main reason for wanting to purchase a new home. However, in response to rising prices, baby boomers, who own 54% of the nation's home, may wait to sell, creating further inventory pressures for older millennials seeking to move up purchases, to buy bigger homes. Why is that? Because it's less expensive for those baby boomers to stay in the properties they're in right now than to purchase something new, because home prices have accelerated so much that it's less expensive for them to stay in that bigger home that they don't really need than it is to buy something that's smaller. That smaller home, they're going to be paying almost as much for that property as what they pay for their current property, and so they're staying in place. That, in addition to those that really would sell, we've talked about this, they're looking at the market going, there's nothing to purchase, right? So why am I going to list my home for sale if I don't have anywhere to go? And as you start to see more homes come on the market that meet what they're looking for, you'll start to see their homes come on the market and the inventory levels increase. Until that happens, you're not going to see any big changes in the real estate market as far as inventory levels go. There's too much demand and not enough supply. And we're going to talk about my local housing market here in just a minute as well. But 64% of millennials note a need for more space as the primary factor driving them to consider purchasing a home. So you guys are asking, why are millennials buying? They need more space. 72% of baby boomers note a desire for a new location. We talked about that just a moment ago. And so nationally, home prices increased 13% year over year in April. No states posted an annual decline. So no states showed a decline year over year. The states with the highest increases year over year were Idaho, Arizona, South Dakota. So being here in California, we have a lot of people moving out of state. They're looking for tax friendly. They're moving for political reasons because of California politics, and even people that don't live in California are moving to these areas, and they're driving up the prices there because they're leaving these high cost areas like California. A lot of money that they've gained over the years in appreciation, and they're able to go to these places and buy properties in cash and really outbid any of the other people going there just because they have so much money that they've gained in appreciation, and it's less of a cost for them to buy property there. And so they're willing to go above the asking price. They're willing to do these things, which helps them get offers accepted. And what is causing these major gains in appreciation in those areas, just because there's so many people flooding those markets. So which markets did the best year over year last year? Well, we talked about Boise, we talked about Phoenix. San Diego saw a 16.1% increase. I mean, that's just south of me, but a very similar market where I am as well. So 16.1% in San Diego. Vegas, you have at 10.5%. LA was at 10%. You got Washington, D.C. at nearly 11%. Boston at 8%. Miami at 8%. Chicago at nearly 6%. Houston at 6%. But what are we expecting to happen as far as declines in 2021? Are we expecting any of these markets to suffer? Well, that's what we're going to look at here. So home prices in San Diego increased 16.1% year over year and are forecasted to increase an additional 10% over the next 12 months. So San Diego is expecting to appreciate another 10% from this time this year to next year. So 10% minus what's already happened this year. So you're likely to see continued gains in that market. So if you're in San Diego and you're having trouble getting a house because of the competition, there's a lot of demand and not a lot of supply. In markets like Houston, which was hit the hardest by the collapse of the oil industry, recent hurricane season, etc., home prices are expected to decline by nearly 1% by April of 2022. So markets like Houston, they're actually expecting a decline year over year by 1%. Now let's take a minute and talk about the top markets at risk of a decline over the next year. Now this is based on the Corelogic Market Risk Indicator. It's a monthly update of the overall health of the housing markets across the country. And it's predicting that Hartford, Connecticut, Longview, Texas, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Miami, Florida, and Norwich, New London, Connecticut are at the greatest risk of a decline in home prices over the next 12 months. Doesn't go into the reasons why, but it's based off of, again, the overall health of the housing market that the forecast that they're using. So, what should we expect to see over the next 12 months with regards to home prices? Probably more of what you've seen over the last 12 months. Now, as inventory increases in markets, you're going to have, the competition's not going to go away, right? The buyer demand is not going to go away, but you're just going to have less people competing against each other on the same exact house. So you had one house and you had 20 people competing against one another, and now there are 4 houses in that same neighborhood. Those 20 people are now spread across 4 houses in theory, if the houses are similar. And so you've got less competition. You've got, again, you've got more supply, but the buyer demand's not going anywhere, right? It's not like buyer demand's declining and supply is increasing at the same time. So you're still going to have multiple offers. You're still going to have competition. You're still going to have to likely go above the asking price in some of these houses if they're priced correctly as inventory increases, right? Inventory increasing doesn't solve the problems at the moment. It just gives buyers more options. And as buyers have more options, people that are thinking about buying and selling their houses will then add their homes to the market, giving buyers even more options. And hopefully that, gives you the supply needed to have a more balanced market. Now, I don't expect that to change to a buyer's market by any means. I just expect buyers to have more options and maybe not have to go so far above the asking price like we've seen over the last 6 months or so. But that doesn't mean that's going to go away. It just means there's going to be less of it. So that's my thoughts on the housing market. I've said it many times. I think home prices a year from now are higher than where they are at the moment, especially here in Southern California. I mean, I recently looked at our market data. I'm in Orange County, California. 3.3 million people as of yesterday. I think we had 2,200 homes on the market. In Huntington Beach, we had 123 or 25, and that's counting single families and condos. So there's just not a lot of property out there to choose from. And as property stays low, supply stays low, you're going to have, you know, this appreciation because people want to get into property with low interest rates and the fear of missing out and you know, all the other things that were added to it, you know, people being able to work from home and all of that good stuff. But I'd love to know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the housing market? What do you see with regards to appreciation in your market? Where do you expect supply to be, demand to be in a year, right? I love hearing what you guys think about you know, the housing market in general. So do me a favor, comment below. And as I get more information on the housing market, I'll continue to update you. If you have something you want me to cover, you can leave that in the comments below as well. But for now, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I appreciate the support. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.